All right, so one of my music students told me about an interesting phenomenon involving two K-pop songs, um, whose artists' names I'm about to butcher. I apologize. But the songs are "That Woman" by Baek Ji Young, uh, and "I'll Wait for You" by Seohyun. And essentially, the two songs can be played simultaneously, and it actually works out. They sync up, with the exception of a few measures at the end of the bridge. Now, I have a video playing through the entire songs simultaneously, and that's linked in my description. But this video is to kind of analyze why that is. And so basically, I've got the two recordings loaded up here in Audacity, and you can see even just visually they line up pretty well. I've labeled the sections: intro, first few measures of intro, and then we have verse 1, chorus, verse 2, and then another chorus section leading into a bridge. Now, this is where I had to do some editing to keep things lined up, because the bridge in "I'll Wait for You" was slightly longer than the bridge in "That Woman," so I had to clip a few measures out and kind of realign things. But once that was done, the rest of the song aligns up perfectly. The chorus in both songs here actually starts off quietly, as you can see there, and then builds at the exact same time. In fact, the similarities between these two is remarkable, and in my opinion, shows that one of the artists really completely ripped off the entire musical structure and chord progression from the other, and then changed the lyrics and the melody. I'm going to assume that Seohyun, or whoever wrote the song for her, is the one who did the rip job, since the "I'll Wait for You" came out 2 years later than "That Woman." "That Woman" came out in 2010, and "I'll Wait for You" was released in 2012. So how are these two songs similar? Well, how are they not similar would be an easier place to start. As I already mentioned, melody and lyrics are different. Chord progressions are almost identical with the exception of the verse. Now, I've got the chord progressions written out for both pieces here, and you can see the intro. Both intros use F sharp and B chords, although they use them in a slightly different rhythm. So this is "That Woman's" intro. And you can see that that's different from "I'll Wait for You." Now, what's remarkable is both of these songs are in the key of F sharp. Both of them are set to the exact same tempo. They're the exact same tempo. I did not have to do any tempo scaling or anything to make these two pieces align. The exact same BPM without any variation whatsoever. Not only that, apart from the bridge, as I mentioned earlier, each section is exactly the same number of measures from the intro to the verse to the chorus. And the verse in both songs is exactly 9 measures, which is a little odd. Usually you'll have 8 measures, but in both cases an extra measure is added. Both choruses have a 1 measure pickup, which is really the added measure at the end of the verse, where the vocal line comes in early, and then the downbeat comes in after the first few words of the chorus. And in both cases, the intro simply plays the same chords that are used at the beginning of the verse. So you can see the first line of the intro is the same. I don't know why I wrote this as B major 7 here and just B here, but it's the same chord. And then same thing here. You can see this is identical as well. So the structure in that regard is identical. So the verses, like as I said, is a little bit off from one another. They don't quite line up perfectly. But when you get to the chorus, it's pretty much the same. You can see how the chords line up: B major 7, Only the second chord is a little different, but it's essentially the same because if you understand chord substitutions, each of these chords really functions the same. I'll just play the beginning of the chorus here so you can hear how identical these line up. And this will be starting with the little pickup measure. Whoops. Let me put both of them on. So I won't play the rest of it here, but you can hear that it lines up pretty perfectly. Not only that, you can hear that the cadencing of the vocal lines and the rhythms in those lines is very similar as well. Now I realize that this chord progression is very common in Asian pop music, but the similarities go beyond, well beyond just using a common chord progression. For example, I'm going to go into the bridge here. Now, the bridge is longer, as I said before, in I'll Wait For You. So I had to shorten it a bit, and you can see the chords here. Both bridges start with B major 7, A sharp minor 7 chords, and essentially the bridge was lengthened for Seohyun's song, and extra chords were added in, but you can see the original bridge chords right here through right here. And I'm actually just when I did the recording, I clipped it, so it was this here. So I'll have this extra chord in here, but again, you'll hear how they not only line up perfectly, but the way that this bridge ends with kind of a suspended tone, and then the way that the soft chorus comes in is really similar. In fact, the piano part that comes in here is pretty much identical. It's the exact same pattern, just different notes, and you'll hear that when we get there. Come on. Wait a second. Alright, here we go. I mean, that is exactly the same. I mean, it builds exactly the same, and it has the same piano pattern. You hear that? Ba da 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 da. All right, and now compare to this. Exact same piano pattern. In fact, in one of the measures, the piano is playing the exact same notes, just an octave higher than the other. Let me see which measure that is. Right here, they're playing the same notes. You can hear it one octave higher. I have a piano here, conveniently. And in the other part, it's playing at an octave lower. So when you put it together, you hear. So listen to that again. So yeah, that's pretty remarkable. But instead of playing the whole thing here, I'll link you to the other video. So if you want to hear the whole thing together, it actually is pretty. It's a pretty remarkable thing to listen to them together. It sounds really cool. So anyway, just a little bit of sleuthing here. Hope you enjoyed this.